Welcome everyone and welcome to another episode of Numericals Studio. In this particular video we just try to bring in another problem from the book Irodov. And friends, you may sometimes ask that why you are bringing the problems from the book Irodov when there are so many solutions are already in the market. Friends, we just don't want to be a problem solver for you. We just want you to get higher ranks at your own merit. And you should understand that what are the important concepts that are involved in a particular problem which are needed to solve it. So without much ado, let's jump into the problem. The problem before you is clearly visible. It says that a point traversed half the distance with a velocity v0 and the remaining part of the distance was covered with a velocity v1 for half the time and with velocity v2 for other half of the time. Find the mean velocity of the point averaged over the whole time of motion. Okay, so friends, actually you understand that what are the major concepts that is involved in this particular problem. Whenever you are talking about the mean velocity is nothing but the total displacement covered by the particle divided by the total time taken. Okay, so whenever a velocity of a particle is constant, that means you understand that velocity is a vector quantity and it involves magnitude and direction. That means magnitude and direction of the particle remains constant. Ultimately it may implies to acceleration equal to 0, because if the velocity is constant, there is no change in direction, there is no change in the speed, then ultimately you will not feel any thrill, and thrill is nothing but the acceleration. At the same time, if the mean velocity and average velocity for a particular time interval or for a particular motion is same, again you can say the velocity is constant. Okay, that means suppose at any point of time, if you are just traveling from one point to another point and if you are just maintaining a same velocity, suppose 10 km/h you are maintaining. So if I ask you what is your velocity right now, you'll say it is 10 km/h. At the end of the journey, again, if I ask what is your average velocity, you'll say the 10 km/h. So that's what I mean. So using that concept, let's try to understand that what to do to solve this problem. I've already shown the problem with help of an image. When I have divided a total distance s into two parts, s by 2 and s by 2. The first t1 time I have traveled the distance with a velocity v0. In another time t2, which is divided into two equal half time as described in the problem. In the first half I have taken the velocity v1 and in second half I am taking the velocity v2. So total time of motion is t1 plus t2 and we have to express this t1 and t2 in term of s, right? I hope you are clear, it is clear. So stage 1, we can understand that s1 is s by 2 and the constant velocity is v0. The remaining half of the distance, that is s2 by 2, is covered into two equal time interval. So time t1, which may be written as t1 equal to s by 2 of v0. That means ultimately s by 2 v0, because time is nothing but the distance by or displacement by distance by velocity. Okay. Similarly, for t2 we can convert it in form of two parts. S by 2 can be written as v1 multiplied by distance equal to nothing but the velocity into time. Okay, so I am just using v1 t2 by 2, v2 t2 by 2. Okay, so ultimately t2 can be solved as s by v1 plus v2. So what is the total time taken? T1 plus t2, and which we can directly put from the equations above. Okay, and with just a slight calculations you can ultimately land to this particular answer. So friends, you must be getting something that this problem is so easy, but the major in my experience as a physics teacher, okay, I have always found that student basically takes this kind of problem as an granted and they make major mistakes. They don't read the problem carefully and that's why eventually they led to wrong answers. So what I have tried to do it, I have just tried to model this question for a challenging problem for you, and this is the challenging problem. A particle travels a distance s in 3 stages. The first stage, it's covered with the velocity v0. The next s by 3 is covered in such a way that half of the distance it's covered with the velocity v1, and remaining half of the distance is covered at the velocity v2, and last as 3 by 3 distance is covered, half of the time it covered at velocity v1 and half the time at velocity v2. So there are so many halves. So I want you to read the question carefully, because I don't want, because the problem is very simple. It is not going to take much time of you, but if you just if you just getting the problem wrong, if you start the problem by the wrong concept, then ultimately it will going to lead a wrong answer only. So again, my question is, find the average velocity over the entire motion. And friends, I'll be waiting for your answers in the comment box. And please, if you are liking our channel, please do subscribe and share with your friends. And we'll keep on bringing this kind of interesting problem from the world of physics, and keeping you only in the examinations, and also try our level best to explain the concept in between, so that you just be the problem solver and you can solve your own problem, and physics is no longer a nightmare for you, because this is the entire motto of Numerical Studio, to make physics easy for everyone. Okay, because physics ultimately holds a very reasonable amount of weightage in entire examination, whether it is medical or engineering. So friends, I just promise you that it will no longer be a nightmare for you. I'll make the entire concept of physics very easy and very lucid for everyone. So thank you once again for your time, and have a great weekend.